Alright, so today's power was Parry. This one, it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, I was thinking of drawing something maybe a little more complex. You can see here I was kind of lining up a basic 1 point perspective, but I don't know, I just didn't really like feel it. Like I was like, I don't know how to like draw this in such a way where it can have that kind of complexity, right? Because it comes with the problem of just being so just kind of basic. Like they punch you and then you punch back, right? Like it's just and that's just kind of that's it, right? And it's unfortunate because it's just like I think there's obviously is probably some cooler application I could have done, right? You can see here I was kind of googling like what's a cool example of it, but it's just so like and then you punch them back, right? It's just like there's just only so much there's only so much you can do with it, right? Generally though, even though it is relatively basic, I think this is still a solid picture. The posing is still solid. The actual like anatomy, I think, is really a strong suit. Um, I did end up like kind of thinking about the legs and stuff, just because like trying to think about how the hips would have changed here. It definitely threw me through a bit of a loop. But like getting the back anatomy right here was pretty tough, and like making sure that the hips like turned with the abs there. Again, these are all definitely tough, and to kind of mask some of those, I guess you could say like just kind of like the suboptimalness of some of that. Or I guess some of the imperfections of it. I guess suboptimal is the correct word, but some of the imperfections, I tried to make sure that the action was kind of covering up some of those problems, which I think ended up working decently well. I'm also trying to like make sure that I'm keeping certain, at least like while I'm sketching, trying to keep certain stuff on certain layers, and even in like later in the drawing process, just because I think that I have a problem of kind of keeping everything on one layer and not like abusing the fact that this is digital. Just because I'm used to it one way, so. I will say I think that the action lines here, right, like the things that are dictating that like this is going this way, I think they're doing. I think they like do a very good job at showing the motion without necessarily having to like see the motion, right? Or like without it having to like necessarily have like a second frame, which I think I've definitely gotten better at, especially in these past like probably 10 videos or so. Like having a more legitimate interaction between two objects is obviously super important when it comes to these kind of like comic book panels and frames, and so making sure they can get that down is obviously super important for this. Again, I do generally like the anatomy here. There probably is some like small minor problems, probably coming down to like the lower lats, or like the lats, the lower back, and even in like the mid back near the rear delts, or the rear deltoids if you want to sound more scientific. I think they do kind of come down to having a problem like of just a lack of definition for how strong the guy looks. Um, but I think it still ends up looking good, regardless. The hands were relatively simple. I wouldn't say it's to a detriment, but I would say definitely doesn't lead itself to being a strength. I do kind of wish I had removed the last pinky there on the right hand of like our main guy here, just because I don't know, it just feels very eh. I also kind of wish I would have made it a little more flowy on the shorts. They do kind of a problem of feeling very stiff, so I kind of wish I had adjusted for that mid drawing process. But these are of course very nitpicky. I think this is still a very dynamic and very good looking picture because I think that even if like a picture was very good at like actually refining my technical skills, there is like a level of somebody looks over doesn't look good kind of subjectiveness, and I think that this one definitely keeps true to that. Also, I tried to be less heavy with the shading on the jacket, even though it's still very like dense and heavy. I did try to kind of like have it be less I guess packed on, right? One thing, another thing, I know like this has been a lot of critiques, but another thing is that the actual hood, I wish I had done a better job at distinguishing that between the actual hoodie. I think that that would have been a good change to make in this kind of a phase. Though I do think that the hoodie has I think it generally has improved. And that's something I think I can definitely see improvement on throughout throughout like most of the series because I've been drawing the same like superhero guy. Um, I've learned a lot more about like how that kind of a flowy clothing is manipulated and how it like works at different angles and when he's doing different stuff. Which has been, of course, very integral to learning, right? Because that's the point of this. It's all just to learn, right? In terms of the coloring, it's something special. I did have some trouble with the background in terms of the sky, but that was more just kind of because I was trying to figure out how to keep the kind of keep the background to a minimum. Just because I don't like drawing backgrounds, I think they're stupid. Like I want to draw the cool stuff. I don't really and like that sounds worse than it is, but it's just very much has a feeling of I really just don't feel like I just kind of don't feel like doing like I just don't feel like drawing a background because it's just like it's just gonna get covered up by the foreground, right? So why put the detail into it? Because when I say that like I don't feel like drawing a background, right? If you think of like an iconic anime moment, right, or like a manga moment, like what I think of is like Pain's like almighty push, right? But I think what makes that as impactful as it is isn't because I think Pain is the background of that shot, despite the fact that he is technically layered in front of the buildings, because showing how big the city is and the destruction, I think it changes the perspective there, and so it makes the background into the most drawing object. And so when I say background foreground, I think that's what I'm referring to. So I would say it's more of just like a psychological thing, right? That I want to skip to drawing the cool thing rather than drawing the lame thing, and unfortunately, the lame thing is normally the background in terms of like the buildings or the this or the that. It just ends up being kind of meh. Um, Regardless, though, I think this still turned out relatively well. I like the shading of, even though the background is a little lame, it still does a good job at, you know, still does a good job at communicating, which is the whole point, right? So yeah, thank y'all for watching. This was pretty brief. Though I do think it was still a good drawing, just a little basic, but you know, it's just because it's hard one to do much with. But so yeah, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell me whatever you want to see in future videos, or what y'all, you know, any questions about anything I said in here. I know I kind of talk fast, so yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.